scenario you're very familiar with. As you know, here we have two people in this scenario, Amy and Ted. They are brother and sister. But today I just want to focus on Amy, the female in the couple, and Amy Robinson. And well, she is the diplomat. We have seen this type of character, this label, also in part one of this webcast. And but again, I wanted to bring her to the front because I believe that, again, showing how much anyway labels can be different with different people is so much important. So basically, Amy is a cautious and careful person. She plans and her strength is in processing. She likes when things are done well, and she's not so happy to change the way she does things. And of course, she wants to learn, and that's a very good point for her. But again, she's not that willing to change. Mm-hmm. And sometimes she's not that positive. I mean, she doesn't look at the future with that opportunity-like approach that me and you, we love that, but she's not that type of person. And let me just close the loop, because the context here makes a huge difference, because of course here the point is to assign the objectives for next year to Amy and to her brother Ted. So having to do with someone which doesn't look at the future that positive way, and she is very much tied to things have been done before that way, we reach that type of results. So you are somehow projected into a situation where you as a first-time manager have to discuss next year's objective. Of course, you have to push them forward, and you go. Let me know, what do you think about people like Amy, which, by the way, are not that common, but they are certainly critical.
Yeah, they are critical, and I'm glad you divided it, because the two of these together in the conversation is interesting, because they are two sort of different characters within the same scenario. So you find yourself kind of it's actually a really good test is to have two. That's what I love about the system. Not only do you have all these different characters, but now you add two in front of you versus one, right? So you get that dynamic in there. But somebody like Amy, this is where you really have to get their buy-in if you're going to move forward at all. This is it's about buy-in. It's about them having equal ownership in the decision on this one, to really let them drive a lot of the solutions and to support the things that are, you know, a diplomat is somebody who's sort of a give and take. That you just can't be on one side or the other. You can't just be all giving or all taking. You have to know when to give them some of it and have this balance. And the first time manager should really allow someone like Amy to come up with some of the solutions, and then talk through how me, the first time manager, can support that going through. So it's a very collaborative conversation you have with Amy versus you know, saying one thing or letting them say one thing.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And what would be the biggest mistake, especially when you assign the goal and you need to somehow negotiate that to the fine tuning this goal? What would be the strongest mistake?
Not spending time talking through the how. It's fine to have the objectives, but again, she's very process oriented, very systematic. You have to spend some time and talk through what steps will be done, and have them clearly lined out. There's going to need to be some clarity around those steps to get to the objective.
Yeah, I get the point. And just before we close this session, it's almost an hour now, and you know that Amy comes together with her brother Ted, which is very different. We are not talking about Ted today, but according to your experience, how much the conversation should take into consideration the two different characters to make sure you achieve the goal.
The great question, and I had already sort of, when I saw you bring up Amy as the character, I started thinking about how I dealt with it, and I immediately went to the cut scene after the conversation that I've had when playing with them, and she brings, being the diplomat, she brings some she brings good consistency to the two of them, and that I would focus more on her, because any objective I would have with Ted, her brother, she would be able to help mitigate that sort of difference between the two of her. That's
Right.
sort of her role. So I want to make sure that I'm extremely clear with her. It's okay to be a little bit off with Ted, but the more clear I can be with her, she can help do a lot of work with him for me. So I don't have to do the work with both.
That's very interesting because this is one of the things